If I was a more skeptical person, as a response to that question, I would quote the book of Ecclesiastes, which says, there is nothing new under the sun, and there's no point in trying to make anything new. The solution to that problem I found is in the books of Carl Jung, who has an interesting take on the problem of creating new art and new music. His idea is that we have to fuse the ancient with the new. So all the stories we use are ancient. That's the old quality. We can't really invent new stories, he believes. They're archetypal. But what can be new about them is that when you retell an old story today, it's new by default, because the day is new, and the culture of today is new and unique to this specific time and place. So even though we're taking old musical narratives and old stories that people have heard 100 times before, just by you telling them to other people today makes them new. So it's a fusion of both. So I believe new music, it's not the music that's new, it's the todayness, or it's the context of today that makes it new and makes it sound refreshing and makes it interesting to the listener again. I didn't actually choose to work with new music. I'm old-fashioned, and when I was young I really wanted to become a classical musician. But no matter how hard I tried, it is funny now looking back, I keep getting pushed into contemporary music. It's like a weird wind current that I can't escape. When I was young, I would sign up for piano competitions, and you'd have to learn a traditional piece by Bach, Beethoven, or Mozart, and you'd have to pair it with a Canadian piece. And I remember spending hours and hours and hours on the traditional piece, the Beethovens and the Mozart, and I'd pour my heart out into them and try to get it really well. And then I'd basically give no time to practicing the Canadian piece, like none. I didn't care. I just played it and moved on and went back to playing Mozart. Without failure, every time I'd go to the competitions, I'd try so hard to impress everybody with my Beethoven piece, and then I'd just kind of throw away the Canadian piece, just whatever. And every time I'd come like first place for the Canadian piece, and just negative comments galore for the traditional pieces. Everybody loved the way I could play contemporary music, even though it didn't matter to me at the time. And the music that did matter, no one seemed to like. I got criticized for harsh tone and all this stuff as a kid. Same thing happened when I went to the University of Toronto. I wanted to become a pianist. I asked the piano department, can I study here? Played some traditional stuff and probably some contemporary stuff, and they just looked at me and said, go to the composition department. You're going to be in contemporary music. So it's just happened. I'm very routine oriented, so my day does not look like the stereotypical artist at all. My best day is doing the same thing that I did yesterday. I like routine, so here's how I try to structure my day. I wake up, I make breakfast for me and my wife. My wife goes to work. Then I turn off emails, cell phones, and computers, and I sit down, and probably for about 2.5 hours I just write and I just compose music. And I don't answer the phone, I don't talk to anybody, much to my friends and family's annoyance. And then I eat lunch, and then I do an hour of administrative work for my arts organizations, or I'll mark my students' homeworks to get that out of the way. Then that puts me at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Then I'll do an hour and a half of piano practice. I'll practice repertoire that I'm preparing for a concert or something, or I'll play my own pieces and get them up to caliber. And then I have a few hours before I actually start working and teaching in the evening, my piano students and my harmony students. So if I have enough energy, I will do more administrative work between 3 and 4. If I don't have enough energy, I'll watch YouTube or something. And then I will work and teach music for the rest of the evening until about 8 or 9. Then after that, I'll have dinner and I'll read. Then I'll go to bed. Then I'll wake up and do the exact same thing the next day. Because of the nature of my classical context series, I've been able to present my music both to many different types of audiences, both academically trained audiences and general audiences. So I've received a wide range of comments, and it almost has more to do with the audience than my pieces. Because I get to have put on multiple performances of my work, I can see how different audiences from different areas of the city react to the same performers playing the same piece. So I can't be sure that any comment is just specific to my piece. It might be more specific to the type of audience that I'm presenting my music to. I don't even know what to say who's more friendly. Academic audiences can be really enthusiastic and friendly, and then they can turn hostile on a dime, and general audiences can also be very friendly and turn upset on a dime. Generally speaking, most people have positive comments for me after my performances. General audiences talk a lot about theme and melody. Often they'll hear my work, and even if I think I included a theme and a melody in the work, they might have missed it. So oftentimes when I'm with general audiences, they'll come and be like, "Oh, I loved it so much, but there was no melody, there was no theme I could hang on to." And I just politely say, "Well, I'll try better next time," even though to me there was, and sometimes they may have missed it. Academic audiences often compare my music to other composers. So they'll come up and say, "I did a good job, congratulations, and it reminded me of a composer like this, or a composer like that, or like Debussy or Shostakovich or something like that." So the more audiences you play in front of, and your music gets performed in front of, the harder that question kind of becomes to answer. Holy cow. There's a few chamber pieces that I've written that I've also gotten to conduct, and that is really, really exciting. I don't do it as much anymore, but when I conducted more before the pandemic, and I also wrote in a lot of crazy time signatures, and getting to lead an ensemble through metric modulations and time signatures as a conductor is really, really, really fun. It's like being on a roller coaster. It's like you are the roller coaster and you're pulling all your friends with you. So group collaborations and getting to lead bigger ensembles have been really exciting. So for example, I wrote a string nonette that was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of crazy time signatures, and it took a lot of rehearsing to get it up and running, but once we all got together, we were all kind of flying through the universe together. And then I wrote a piece called Phantasmagoria, which is for percussion, bass baritone, and brass, a tiny brass ensemble of about 8 players, I think. And getting to conduct the singer, a lot of the music his name was Brendan Friesen. He spoke a lot of the dialogue rather than sang. He kind of shouted. So I got to conduct the ensemble, and I would point at him and he'd shout something scary at the audience. It was a lot of fun.